Okay. I'm leaning back a little bit today. Tonight, whatever it is. You want a computer?
No, are you doing it?
Yeah. You want the computer? I can't see no.
Are you pausing?
No, I didn't pause it. What happened? I just started. Shit. Why? You want the computer? Alright. It's like interruption at the moment. So be it. Things happen, right? That's the way it goes. Alright. Little light back up. Can't see. The law and the veil of Masha. We continue. This is part 2. Did part 1. It took me 3 days to upload it. Something's wrong with my computer. Anyway. Part 2. No special subjects. Just reading whatever comes to my brain with this stuff. With you black Hebrew YAHSHARALITES with y'all crazy stuff. And the 7th day and the Jews. All believe in the Shabbat and the law, the 10 commandments, all valid for today. I got some information that I'm going to bring out, that I'm going to read just like I did with the eschatology, or some questions about certain things that these people are teaching. Now, talking to my friend Neil, who I mentioned a lot on these YouTubes. I told him I'd be mentioning his name because he's the only person I know who's pretty much in this, some of this teaching. I ain't going to say all of it. Can't speak for the man. He can speak for himself. But the point of the matter is, something has to be said about this teaching and this terminology that's being used today as the gospel, more or less, the law, statute, commandments, and the gospel is pretty much not the point of the issue. So I'm going to have a big problem with that, because the administration of death, we're about to read, and the administration of righteousness are two different things. Once again, I have to say this off the jump. I'm not saying the law didn't have its purpose. The law was totally something, etc. This would be true. The law had its purpose to Israel, Yasharel, in the time of its generations, and the Shabbat was assigned to them in their generations. Not to this. It was not going to come to a close, because the nation as a people came to a close, as we all know, watching my YouTubes, from 86 to 67 to 70 AD. After Deuteronomy 20 being blah, 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 I don't see your futures as a tautology, so that's why a lot of stuff is complicated with me talking, with y'all listening, whoever listens. It goes from the spirit, prophecy, language, to a lot of things that makes things very confusing. Now, we're going to go to 2 Corinthians. This is going to be the theme that I'm going to be using with all the YouTubes on the law, statutes, laws, and commandments, the Shabbat, etc. Food, when I read the law, the food, and the priests, and the temple, and the eating, and the animals, and all that is going to be under this subject. The veil of Masha being on their eyes and blinding them 2019 years. That's why they couldn't see and understand nothing when it came to the spirit, because they were still in the carnal and thinking in that matter of certain things that was not comprehended to them spiritually. Obviously, something was missing. The old was going out. It served this purpose. The schoolmaster served this purpose. They were graduating. You don't graduate and go back to elementary school and start all over from grad school. Alright? So, Mashiach is the graduation. Mashiach is the dean that was graduating them out of the elementary and the rudiments that was used for Yasharel under Masha or Musha in Mount Sinai down. There was no Shabbat keeping. I'll repeat. No Shabbat keeping in the book of Genesis all the way down to Exodus 16 Shemot. There was none. None of the people before Masha, kept no Shabbat up until, and even Masha, I keep saying Masha because I'm used to saying Musha so much. Masha did not keep it, Maasha. So, the point of the matter is, nobody kept it to then because it was a sign unto Israel, a covenant unto them that came out of Egypt, to them through their generations. Not you picking up your awakening and understand today that the Europeans lies and the Ashkenazite Jew living in Israel today are not the true people of the book, etc., etc., etc. Back then, today, in the future, whatever, this is a fact. But to say that we're living today and we're reinventing this wheel for all this stuff all over again is on you to do and preach and teach and YouTube and say whatever. But for me, it's to say, psych, I believe not. I think not. And we're going to let the verses talk today. I'm talking right now, but these verses are about to talk. So let me let these verses talk, and I shut up. Okay, 2 Corinthians, chapter 3, verse 6. I think that's the first, I think that's the chapter, but chapter 3 is the theme of where I'm coming from this whole entire time. Now, on top of this particular translation, like someone had little footnotes, it says, the new covenant through Yahusha. This says Yeshua, Yahusha. New covenant. None of y'all were born under the old covenant that's living today. Nobody that's living, teaching, preaching in Seventh-day Adventist Jews, Black Hebrew YAHSHARALITES, none of y'all were born under the old covenant. None of you. Not one person on this earth today. Not one person. So when we're trying to bring this baggage and install it like some decree is the reason why things are screwed up on this subject. Verse 3, for as much as ye are manifestly declared to be the epistles of Mashiach, it says Messiah, Mashiach, ministered by us, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living Elohim. With the Spirit, not in the tables of stone, but in the fleshly tables of the heart. Jeremiah 31, 31 to 34, Ezekiel 36, 24 to 27. Okay, so we're talking about the Spirit, not stone flesh. Talking about the Spirit now. We're moving, we're trained, we're moving on. The Israel's moving on from one state to another state. In Mashiach is key, not in Masha. It wasn't worshiping Masha or Musha. I can use say you Musha. Masha, I got that from one of the other translations. They don't use Musha, they don't use Moses. I like it a little better, Masha, because it got the Shah from like Yahusha in it, S-H-A, Masha. Okay? Y'all can go do some etymology. Whatever. Verse 4, 3-4, 2 Corinthians 3, chapter 3-4. As such trust have we through Mashiach to Elohim. Verse 5, 3-6. Not that we are sufficient of ourselves to think any things of ourselves, but our sufficiency is of Elohim. Verse 6, keep. I got some arrows next to that. Verse 6, who also have made us able ministers of the New Testament. Not of the letter, y'all know what the letter is, but of the Spirit. For the letter killeth, but the Spirit giveth life. Yochanan 6:6. Verse 7. But if the ministers of death, the ministration of death, that's the old covenant, people. The ministration of death is the old covenant. Written and engraved in stones. What was written and engraved in stones given on Mount Sinai? Was that the Ruach HaKodesh? Was that the Ruach HaKodesh given by Yahusha in Yochanan chapter 14 verse 6? Go and tarry to the Ruach HaKodesh come upon ye? No, that couldn't been that, because that didn't happen back then. That was at Pentecost. But if the ministration of death written and engraven in stones was glorious, fooled y'all. It was glorious for them in Mount Sinai all the way down to Yahusha. It was glorious. So you Black Hebrew YAHSHARALITES, There you go. Shaul is saying something on behalf of the law, the ministration of death, the law, statute, commandment, the Shabbat, the circumcision, 613 laws to Yasharel. It was glorious. So that the children of Yasharel could not even steadfastly behold the face of Masha. Look how glorious that ministration was. For the glory of his countenance, which glory was to be done away. Oh my. Hebrews 8:13 will go with that verse right, that part right there. Hebrews 8:13. Which glory is what? Ministration of death was what? Was to be what? Done away with. No, it can't be. How shall not the ministration of the Spirit, verse 3:8, 2 Corinthians 3:8, be rather glorious? The ministration of the Spirit was more glorious than the ministration of death, which was glorious of the Mount Sinai, Torah, law, statutes, commandments, etc., to them throughout their generations up into the 1st century, not the 21st century, and some future beyond that. Verse 9, 2 Corinthians 3:9. For if the ministration of condemnation be glory, the ministration of condemnation, the ministration of death, the law, the Torah, etc., be glory, how much, verse 9, more do the ministration of righteousness exceed in glory? So he's putting the ministration of righteousness, which exceed more the ministration of Masha in the law in the Old Covenant. For even that which was made glorious had no glory in this respect by reason of the glory that excelleth. It's talking about one was going to come and override the other one. Y'all can read 2 Corinthians chapter 3, 4, 5, etc. 2 Corinthians 3:11. Let me sit up looking all crooked. 2 Corinthians 3:11, because I'm trying to hold this stick behind translation up. For if that which is done away, 3:11, for that which is done away was glorious. Meaning that he's saying this as a past tense, that it was already done. Spiritually wise, it was already done. Physically wise, it wasn't. That's why you got Shaul going up teaching in the synagogues, in the temple, etc., teaching his truth, evangelizing the message of Yahushua HaMashiach to the Yehudim as well, to the Greek and anybody else that was there. Oh, boy. 3:11, for if that which is done away was glorious, much more that which remaineth is glorious. That which is much more which remaineth is glorious. Seeing then we have such hope, we use great plainness of speech. They use what? What was Shah with them using? Great what? Plainness of speech. They didn't have to be deep. They didn't have to know every Palo Hebrew word, because they already spoke Palo Hebrew word, so that doesn't even make any sense. They didn't have to get no concordance, because they already knew the words. They didn't have to understand Greek, because they wasn't talking to them in no Greek, especially no Hebrews. And verse 3:12, verse 3:11, and not that Masha, which put a veil over his face, that the children of Yasharel could not steadfastly look into the end of that which is abolished. Wait, say again. Verse 3:13, and not that Masha, which put a veil over his face, that the children of Yasharel could not steadfastly look into the end of that which is abolished. And it's got Shemut, Exodus 34, 29 to 35 verses in that reading. That which is steadfastly to the end, that which is abolished. This said abolished over here, before said that which is glorious, remaineth, that which is done away with, etc. Hebrews 8:13, blah, blah, blah. But here's the verse, and we get into the nitty-gritty of this right here. This is the main verse right here in this subject. All of this stuff you're going to hear me run my mouth about the laws, statutes, commandments, the Shabbat, circumcision, all the 613 laws. The reason why we got problem talking with Seventh-day Adventists and Christians and not Christians, but Jews and the Black Hebrew YAHSHARALITES, because of verse 3:14, 2 Corinthians 3:14. This is the reason. But their minds were blinded. today, but this was 2019 years ago. For until this day, he's talking about in the first century. Until this day, not today, not in the future, until this day when he's speaking in Corinthians, remaineth the same veil untaken away in the reading of the Old Testament or first letters. Y'all don't want to hear the word old there for the black Hebrew Yahshua. Y'all don't like that. Y'all don't hear about no old. Which veil is done away in Mashiach. This is the bottom line. Done. Done. Finito. In Mashiach, Old Testament done away with. Done. Done. I'm going to believe 2 Corinthians chapter 3:14 over any black Hebrew Yahsharalite, any Seventh-day Adventist, any Orthodox Jew, anybody comes up screaming about the law, statute, commandments. I'm going to read you 2 Corinthians 3:14 until you die. Until I die. Done away in Mashiach. It doesn't say in 2 Corinthians 3:14, let's read what it doesn't say. But their minds, whose minds? Were blinded. Whose minds were blinded? Yehudim. For until this day remaineth the same veil untaken away in the reading. In the reading. Because that's what y'all read. Look at the Old Testament. Look at Leviticus. Reading of the Old Testament, which veil is done away in Mashiach. Done away in Mashiach. So if you're in Mashiach and you're trying to make the Old Testament fit over Mashiach, you have major problems. You got major problems, people. This stuff has to be reevaluated major, big time. Most of the black Hebrew Yahsharalites and the Seventh-day Adventists don't want to care nothing about what I just read. They're going to say, shut up. We don't care. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm just reading the scripture now. I don't have no book or nothing. We're going to read some other stuff that other people studied and went and copied and wrote down to try to put some more light on this stuff, how bad this stuff is. But when you're reading the Old Testament, you're blocking out Mashiach in the sense of him already coming and dying and fulfilling Matthew chapter 5, verse 17. There's other verses I can get to, other chapters, Ephesians, Galatians, Romans. It's not just 2 Corinthians chapter 3, people. That's where my theme of my thought is coming from. In the reading of the Old Testament is done away in Mashiach is my point here. On this particular part 2 of the law and the veil of Mashiach. I mean, Masha. Because you people have the veil on your eyes even unto today, 2019, like they had in AD 30, AD 62. Shaul is talking all the way back for them, all the way back then, and now y'all still got the veil. Oh, well, who you think you is? Verse 15, 3:15. But even unto this day, when Masha is read, verse 15 is another killer verse. Even unto this day, he comes back to this day again, not our day, not 2019, not the Millennium Kingdom. Is read, Masha, because y'all love to quote the Old Testament, read the Old Testament. Nobody's condemning the Old Testament. Nobody said the Old Testament was not valid. When it's talking to the children of Yasharel throughout their generations, don't switch it, don't twist it. That ain't what I'm saying. Don't try to make it, don't bring the Hebrew spin doctrine. But verse 3-15, 2 Corinthians 3:15, but even unto this day when Masha is read, the veil is upon their heart. That was 2019 years ago. Guess what veil is upon your heart today in trying to justify the 5 books of the Torah or the law? And using Ezekiel and whatever else you use. Yeah, my Apocrypha. I forgot. Let me get that in there. The Apocrypha too. Reading this stuff in the sense of trying to take Mashiach out and trying to keep it prolonged, you're being rebuked by Shaul 2019 years later. Rebuke you are having read to you through this YouTube tonight. Nevertheless, look at Shaul, look at the glory, look at the chance they had. Nevertheless, it shall turn when it shall turn. Who shall turn? The heart. Verse 15 says, nevertheless, when it shall turn, what? In verse 15, their heart turn to Yahuwah, the veil shall be taken away. Wait a minute. That's a rough statement, folks. It sounds like the people reading the Old Testament was not in Yahuwah. I could be saying that wrong. Somebody can put a note under there and make a comment. Obviously, they're going to say you reading that wrong. Are you saying anybody reading the Old Testament back then was not a follower of Yahushua HaMashiach? It sounds like it. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. It sounds like if you took out Mashiach to read Masha in the Old Testament, you was overriding Mashiach. I know that sounds kind of rough, but that's what it sounds like to me. I ain't calling nobody. I ain't got no righteousness to call nobody out. But something is wrong. He said it in their heart. Well, verse 16, 3, nevertheless, when it, what? Your heart shall turn to Yahuwah, the veil shall be taken away. Wait, that's some big stuff here. Verse 17, now Yahuwah is Yahuwah is that spirit, and where the spirit of Yahuwah is, there is liberty. One of my favorite verses. I'm going to keep my liberty in Mashiach. I'm not under no bondage and yoke of no law. You can read and talk about Shabbat Shalom, don't eat pork, wear garbs, call it whatever feast day, whatever it's that. That was good, people, for the generations of the Old Covenant. Shah said administration and ministers of the New Testament to all people. Read 2 Corinthians chapter 2, 3, and 4. Read 2 Corinthians chapter 2, 3, and 4 very slowly. Try to block out your Yehudim, your Hebrew Kool-Aid. Iced tea, I mean. Try to block it out for a few minutes from your new founding, awakening, genealogy, understanding, teaching. While you're getting that, get Mashiach along with it. Don't come reading and trying to teach that Old Testament terminology and pounding people, putting them under your so-called righteousness of the law and thinking that you're going to override Mashiach and say, because we're going to get to that with Shah supposed to have been doing all this in the book of Acts and Yahushua was teaching this and that. Oh, we're going to try it. We're going to test the waters. We're going to 1 Thessalonians 5:21, Acts 17:11, baby. We're going to put it to the fire to make sure it's valid, that it's sound. But it said it's done away in Mashiach, the Old Testament. Hebrews 18:13. I ain't even get to that because that's for another, I guess, another part or whatever. This is part 2, etc. Verse 17 is done away. Liberty in Yahuwah. It's just the way it goes, people. It's just, verse 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 3. But if our good news being hid, it is hid to them that are lost. Most of the time we say our good news of it being hid to them and lost. We're talking most of the time when we're preaching, evangelizing under the Christianity, etc. We're talking about them and hid to them that are lost. Talking about sinners. Pretty much that's what they do in Christianity. Talking about the gospel hid to them that are lost. But here, I believe Shaul was talking to the Yehudim in 2 Corinthians. Because he was talking about the veil of Masha. Sinners don't know nothing about no veil or no Masha back in the Old Testament, reading of the Old Testament, no Gentiles, no sinners, etc. So he was talking to the Yehudim in 2 Corinthians chapter 3, 2, 3, and etc. Because they the one who knew and know about Masha of reading the Old Testament, not some sinners today where Christianity try to take verses 2 Corinthians 4, 3, talking about to them that are lost, talking about sinners. This was them that was lost, that was the Yehudim, and reading of the Old Testament and blocking out Mashiach and his fulfillment and his terminology that they couldn't understand because it was hid from their heart because they were reading the Old Testament. Then somebody's going to try to reverse that and say that I'm saying the Old Testament was not, but the New Testament is more better than the Old Testament. The Old Testament, nobody's playing those little childish games, running back and forth, pitting these testaments against each other. One was the reason for a purpose, and then it was going to be done away. The schoolmaster, etc. Fulfilled in Mashiach. You cannot take fulfilled in Mashiach and throw it away under this physical, literal, again, Old Testament letter, not spirit, period. And if you find something in Psalms 119 that says whatever it says about the law, it says it up until that point. Yes, correct, whatever it may be. I don't know every verse about the law and subject of the law in every single verse in the Old Testament. The problem is not one of you people that's watching this YouTube who's Seventh-day Adventist Jew or black Hebrew Yahsharalite was ever born under no law. That's number one. And there's no way on this earth or that none of y'all can keep no 613 laws. Don't give me the ceremonial moral law yang yang. We're going to get into that, trying to divide the law to say that you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that. Psych, that won't work. We ain't even get to that yet. I'm giving out some stuff ahead of time. That's another subject I got to think how to, part 5, part 6, whatever it may be. So that ain't going to work. Here we go, 2 Corinthians 4:4, and that's it, I'm coming up. In whom the mighty one of this world have blinded the minds of them which believe not. That's everybody. Where the word world here? Maybe the word world here. Oh my goodness. It don't even say the word world. What am I reading? 2 Corinthians 4:4. In whom the mighty one of this world, yes it does, mighty one of this world, 165, it is Greek, have blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious good news. That's my last verse. The glorious good news of Mashiach, whom is the image of Elohim, should shine unto them. So the Yehudim, the good news, not the law, statute, and commandments, that the good news of Mashiach, of the light of the glories of the good news of Mashiach, should shine on them. For we preach not ourselves, but Mashiach Yahusha, verse 4-5, the sovereign, and ourselves your servants for Yahusha's sake. You know, listen, everything is about Yahusha HaMashiach and not Masha. Not Abraham, not Ezekiel, not Yonah, not Dude, David A.K. It's about Yahusha HaMashiach. The preaching of the good news of Yahusha HaMashiach, and the light will shine in heart. For those that is hid, it's a hid to them that are lost. When you try to take the old covenant and put old wine and new wine and etc., 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 it's not going to work. You're going to get busted by the Hebrew, the Ruach detective. Somebody going to get busted eventually. That's it. Because you can't mix them. You can't mix them. They're two different ministrations. You just can't mix it and then try to come up with your righteous standards, talking about what you do and you don't do in the law. Oh, we got verses in the New Testament talking about the law? Exactly. Do we? I mean, of course. Do we got verses in Acts about the Shabbat? 84 times used. But we're going to discuss that in another subject. Or do we got discussions about law, statutes, and commandments? I haven't seen it yet. Maybe one of y'all can put in their thumbs down to my YouTube and say, all right, shut up. I haven't seen Yahusha say that one time out of his mouth, or neither Shah. The law, statutes, and commandments. Not one time, not yet. How can it be the good news and the administration of death be mixed together? It's beyond my thoughts. It's beyond my thoughts. How can the administration of death and the good news of Yahushua HaMashiach be put in the same perspective? You just can't do it. You just can't do it. Black Hebrew Yahsharalites, Hebrew laity, as I said earlier, or said I said in the other YouTubes, this is not personal. This has nothing to do with attack on individual people, individual groups, clans, camps, no camp, personal, against mores, teachers, people that are students and studies of scripture like myself and anybody else out there. This has nothing to do with that. And I was talking to Neil earlier. I don't know if he's going to catch this YouTube, whatever. People are so sensitive and so personal and get so angry that I'm free. I'm free from all of this. It doesn't faze me. If you like me, you don't like me. You don't like the YouTubes. You don't like full preterism. You don't like ecclesiology organically done. It don't bother me. I don't care. I don't have to be by no man's Biden rules. You don't have dominion over my faith, etc. You're not going to have preeminence. This is a done deal with Yah. And I don't want no preeminence and dominance and control over your faith and whatever. No. I want some Acts 17 and 11. Some 1 Thessalonians 5:21. That's what the Yah wants for the Hebrew laity. That's my goal. To be free in Yahushua HaMashiach. not burdened down. Matthew chapter 11, with yokes and bondage and the old schoolmaster weights and laws and do's and don'ts. We're going to talk about the 10 Commandments. We didn't get there yet. Slow your roll, D.I. We didn't get there yet. We're going to get all that broken down. In the New Testament. The problem is we're in the New Testament. We're not in the Old Testament. Regardless of what you think. You wasn't born under the Old Testament. You were born under the New Testament because Mashiach came in the under the Old Testament. He came. Obviously, he was born in the Old Testament. But the Old Testament was fulfilled in Mashiach. Now y'all can try to hide that, change that, mix that up to keep your little law, statute, commandments, your Shabbat saying, and all that, all you want to do. Whatever you got to do, you got to do. That ain't going to change those scriptures. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verses, I think, 3 to 6. 3, 6 down to 4, 5 I read, I believe. Is this same point blank, but the main verse is 2 Corinthians chapter 3, 14 and 15. This stuff is done away with and in Mashiach. There's no ifs and ands and buts about it. You're not going to get away with it. You're not going to be able to. Only people you can fool is some sheep or Hebrew YAHSHARALITES that don't want to discern or can't discern or afraid and fear, and you're going to get them with that stuff because they learn about their genealogy per se, and that's going to carry them into reading of the Old Testament, and the Gentiles took away the Shabbat, and Constantine, and we can go on and on, run around in circles forever with the Jews and all this and that and Christian. Oh, man, it's a long lot of history, people. We're talking 2019 years and counting. A lot of man-made stuff, a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of stuff right in Scripture ain't got nothing to do with no man-made. It got to do with the Ruach HaKodesh, reproving, rebuking, and cutting the marrow, the soul, the sunder, and the thoughts and the intents of man, including myself. That was what was going on in the first century. Shaul said when he died, about to leave and depart, the wolves are ready to come in. The legalistic old man, old covenant administration death was waiting to come and pick the yokes and bondage back in the shoulders, and he said, come unto me and I'll give you rest, Yahushua HaMashiach, not today no more. Rest unto me and I'll give you rest. Not eating and going to sleep and don't turn on the oil and getting the right foods and shutting up and quiet. Whatever it is. But see, I don't know all the little details. Y'all know it. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. When I get to the law and read them and read all that stuff of the law and read it, then y'all can go and fill that out. Fill in the blanks type of thing. But people, you can't be in Mashiach and bring in an old wine of the old covenant and drag in the new covenant, trying to put some people under that terminology and justifying it in the new covenant. You're going to be found. Mashiach, and more Mashiach. Not law, statute, commandments, not law, statute, commandments, not law, statute, commandments. And that's just the way it's going to be. But you know what? I know I'm talking to the space sounds like sometimes because the Seventh-day Adventists are not giving up. The Orthodox Jews, oh my gosh, forget it. They will mock and laugh at you too and tell you to get out of here with their rabbis and etc. And then it comes the people that are Christians that are still trying to hold on the law to justify themselves. They're found guilty right in 2 Corinthians as well. But then there's the black Hebrew YAHSHARALITES, the last on the list, doing the same thing, but you just changed avenues, but you kept your baggage. Now, I don't know if you left Christianity because Christianity would have taught you the law for y'all who are transformed. You wasn't learning the law, statute, commandments when you was a Christian in that matter. You was learning fulfilled in Jesus, who they call Jesus Christ, etc. That's what you was learning. But then when you got your awakening, you went back to your old roots terminology, which genealogy and nationality and Israelites is a total different thing. I said it 5,000 times in all these YouTubes. But you tried to you're dragging the people back. Instead of being under Mashiach, they're under Masha. Instead of being under Mashiach, they're under Masha. They're more concerned in worshiping the tables of stone instead of tables of the spirit of the Ruach HaKodesh in their heart. They're more under chains and bondages than under freedom in Mashiach. But because of the genealogy is the catching glue, they can't see you Hebrew laity. You just can't. Because I understand it's fear. You're a part of something. You're a part of a group. You're part of a conferences. You're part of teaching together, just like you were in church and etc. I understand all that. I get it. I got it and I get it. But that's not going to change the scriptures. That's not going to change the scripture. Yahushua HaMashiach, he fulfilled the law. He fulfilled all the requirements of the law. You don't have to do nothing to fulfill the requirements of the law. He did not teach the law, statute, commandments in the New Testament nowhere. Shaul didn't teach it nowhere. He went and observed stuff because he was evangelizing them Yehudim in Mashiach, that whoever had an ear to hear. We can get to the book of Hebrews on that. Harden not your heart. We can keep going, but I don't want to keep going. So, this generation, a wicked and evil generation. What evil, wicked generation? He's talking about the whole planet? No, he's talking to the people, the Yehudim, that you're going to pay. From Abel, from Zacharias down to Abel, you're going to kill the prophets of old. That wasn't the Ashkenazite Jew. That wasn't the Edomites that's killing the prophets. That was the false. That was the Yehudim who did not want to hear the prophets. Acts chapter 7. So we harden their heart. Resist the Ruach. Like their fathers. It's rough, man. It's rough because we don't want to be denying Mashiach his rightful place and putting Masha, trying to make him equal with Mashiach or Abraham, the father of the Israelites. Who created Abraham? That's what we need to be talking about. Elohim, the Most High, El Shaddai, Yahushua HaMashiach, that liveth from now and forevermore. Abraham and what's the name was used for a purpose during a period in time that they were used, like any other prophet and person in the Old Testament. But reading of the Old Testament and pounding people and pounding them with it and pounding them, law, statute, commandments, and you got to do this, and you better not wear that, and y'all can't keep no 613 in your sleep. Y'all got maybe 13. I don't even think y'all got that. And the main ones you ain't got. No temple, no priest. The food thing is totally busted when I'm reading this stuff. Totally busted. Wow. I'm done. 37 minutes again. Anyway, that's it for this part 2. This part 2. Under the law and the veil of Masha. Whatever I named the other YouTube, I'll just write it in the same thing. The point of the matter is, Hebrew laity, this is for your call, for you. I'm just one person making my opinion about something. That's what they're going to say. It's just your opinion, etc. I read the scriptures today. I'm going to read some scriptures some more on this subject. And that's it. That's all I can do is share and hoping the Ruach HaKodesh bring forth some awareness, enlightenment through the truth for the person to be free and still worshiping Yahushua HaMashiach and not fear looking over their shoulder. And some of y'all going to say, shut up, I ain't got no fear. I'm doing what the scripture says. I'm keeping his law, statute, commandment. You keeping the words in your mouth coming through your lips. You ain't keeping those 613. I don't care who you is, where you live. Because our forefathers, as we always want to say, couldn't do it, told them in Acts chapter 15. And they seen all the miracles and all that and couldn't do it. And y'all doing it today. Wow. Unbelievable. No temple, no land, no nothing. But y'all doing it. All of it. Don't forget, all. Not some. That's what y'all like getting ready to wear all anyway. All what hasn't been fulfilled. We don't have to keep all the law neither. Y'all just get rid of wearing all out the whole entire 66 to 89 books to get rid of wear all everywhere. My. All right, Hebrew laity, it's time for you to get back in there and do some studying. Closing this out, 2 Corinthians chapter 3. Chapter 2, 3, and 4. Actually, really, in order 3 and 4. And just read chapter 3, 14, 15. and just read it. Just meditate on it, read it, pray, look at it. Say, what is this going on here? What is Shaul talking about? Who is he talking to about what? The ministration of what? What's the ministration of death? Who is that pertaining to? What is going on here? What is coming into the light? And if they turn their hearts to Yahuwah, they shall be, according to what it's saying. What does that mean to you as a Hebrew laity? You gotta ask yourself, what am I hearing from teachers in the Hebrew camps and Hebrew non-camps and no camps and people that are students and studiers and teachers and no power Hebrew and all this good? What am I hearing? Are they contradicting Shaul? Are they going to justify because you just sitting there nodding your head because you're afraid and scared? You don't want to challenge. You don't want to say, wait a minute, this can't be this can't be that. How can Mashiach become subservient to Masha in the sense of reading the Old Testament when Yahushua HaMashiach is really never quoted law, statutes, commandments nowhere that I can see as of yet? Nowhere. But these poor people with your genealogy, which I agree with, I don't believe in no I don't have to quote this no more. I ain't quoting it right now anyway. Anyway, shalom, peace. As I say, friend or foe, I'm going to share what I know. This is not personal. This is scriptural business. And I'm out. And I want you people to understand that this is scriptural business. Not personal. Scriptural business. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. I'm going to put this back so I can know which YouTube will roll up. That's it. That's it. That's it. So, there you go. All right. Take care. Let me put this way. All right. Shalom. Peace.